And welcome back to the Frontier Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Elliott, and the purpose of this podcast is to talk about business, entrepreneurship, and leadership in general. And then I always like to touch on some of our other foundations like our faith, our family, education, and even some politics. So today I've got a good one. I've got Stacy Jo Adams with me. She is a wife, mother, grandmother, a licensed insurance agent and business owner, entrepreneur, and most recently, she has been elected to the Oklahoma House of Representatives, the state house, representing District 50, which covers most of Stevens and Jefferson County here in Oklahoma. So, Stacy Jo, thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. This is kind of nerve-wracking and I'm a little camera shy, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah, we'll try to make it fun and easy on you. So, well, kick us off with your background, where you was born and raised and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so born in Germany, Landstuhl, Germany, or Kaiserslautern, K-Town. If you're a military brat, you know all about that. So I was born there, lived there for a couple of years, went to Kansas, Fort Riley, Kansas, where my dad was stationed, and then we went back to Germany. We were in Gelnhausen for 3 or 4 years. I don't remember exactly. Then we came back to the States. I went to school, elementary school at Fort Hood, Texas, started junior high. Well, it was middle school there. They called it middle school at Fort Hood. And then went back to Germany and went to high school in Germany. I was there when the Berlin Wall came down.
Wow.
We were there when Desert Storm happened. My dad was one of the first groups that went over to Saudi Arabia when that happened, and it was a really kind of crazy time too. But then after he came back, we moved back to the States. We were stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington for 2 weeks. Then they deleted his orders. Then we were moved to Leesville, Louisiana, Fort Polk.
Wow.
And then when my dad finally retired, he retired from Fort Polk, but we came back to Lawton because my grandfather retired at Fort Sill.
Okay.
So we wanted to be back close to family where my grandmother and grandfather were. And then I graduated from MacArthur High School and moved to Duncan in about 2001.
Okay.
Empire. I live in Empire.
Live in Empire.
Yeah.
And then how'd you meet your husband?
Wrestling.
Wrestling?
Yeah.
So how long have y'all been married? And
we've been married 15 years. This June will be 16 years. And
good.
We have a blended family.
Okay.
So we have, I have 2, he had 3, and then we have a set of twins that we inherited. And they have a mom and a dad, but we claim them as ours. Their mom was a police officer, still is, at Lawton, and when she got hired on, she was doing night shift. So the boys just started spending the night with us. It just made sense. So because she would be at work and they didn't want to be home by themselves. So from the time they were about 8th grade until they graduated, I mean, we just had Christmas and they were there.
Right.
Brought their grandkids. I mean, their kids, which are my grandkids, but. Yeah. So we have 7 boys, and I think we've got them all hitched almost. They're really close. There's a couple that are really close, but they're all coupled up.
y'all have a big family.
Yeah.
And family's important, and
Oh yeah. Very
y'all do a
important.
lot, right? Are they all pretty much local?
Yeah.
Everyone
So
close by?
one's in Edmond, and one's in Dallas, and the rest are Elgin. I have 3 in Cotton County and
Oh.
Walters. They can't even vote for me, but I have 3 sons over there. So,
Change that.
but they're all pretty close. Yeah.
Okay.
And they all got to come home. We did Christmas this past Saturday because, they say you have a son. Oh, wait, you have a daughter for life and a son until he takes a wife.
Right.
And so since we have all boys, we give them the opportunity to go to their wives' family for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then we do what we call Thanksmas right there in the middle. So, and it works out good because they all can come. And we only had one that couldn't make it because he had a wrestling tournament in Ohio.
Hard to get everybody together.
Yeah, it is hard. We did it last year. Yeah, we did actually have them all together last year. This year, Wyatt was gone. So, but
Yeah.
we try. We really try.
So what's your business background, your career?
So
Have you always been in insurance?
Well, for most of my adult life, I have. So I was a stay-at-home mom until my kids were old enough to go to school. I really wanted to be home with them. And when they started school, I went and enrolled in Cameron University to become a teacher because I wanted to be home when my kids were home, out of school, like summer break, fall break. I wanted to match that up with my kids so I could be with them more. I started my student teaching at Duncan, and I decided that was not for me. So very quickly, I dropped out of college, and I was just substitute teaching because that kind of fit in with the time of elementary age children. And so I was doing substitute teaching, and that wasn't so bad, but I substituted for Brandy Peters. I really like that.
Yeah.
The little ones, they're so much fun. But then my pastor's wife, I was going to Fair Baptist Church there, and David Spangler was a pastor, and his wife had a Sunday school class that I was in, and it was all women. We were all married, I think, in that group, but it was still just an all-women's group. Anyways, she said, Stacy, I was approached for a job. She worked at Dr. Giles' office, and a lady had approached her to hire her in her insurance company, and she said, but it's not for me. I love my job. But she's like, I think you would be really good at insurance. And I was like, oh, I was so intimidated. I'm like, I'm not smart enough to do it. I don't know anything about insurance. How would I even do it? So I blew her off, and I was like, no, I'm too intimidated. And then about a month later, we were doing a fall fest at the church. And she said, have you thought any more about that insurance job? And I was like, I kind of have. I said, it's like been weighing on me. And she's like, I've been praying for you, and I think you need to go talk to her. And so I called her up and did a little phone interview, and I went down that same day, and she hired me on the spot. And that was 2006, I think. And so I have been.
Was it like a sales job, producer job? Or
yeah. So the way it was set up was you had your main agent, and then there was another lady that was in there, and her husband was in the military, and he was about to leave. And so it was like perfect timing. She trained me. We did sales, service. I'm not a big salesy type person. I'm more of a customer service, like help you get what you need, fix a problem. And so I did that for about almost 8 years. And I had an opportunity to own my own agency with a different brand. And so I jumped at that opportunity, even though I was very intimidated, but I had learned so much under my employer. She really taught me a ton. And so we took a leap. Ricky said, go for it. So fun fact, I got interviewed. I got hired. They said, we want you here, that you're going to be a great fit, insurance, all the things. So I took the personality test.
Ooh.
And I failed it.
One of those, yeah.
I failed the personality test. So they said, well, do you think Ricky would be interested? And I was like, sure, he'll do whatever. Anything that I want him to do, he'll do it pretty much. And so I was like, Ricky, do you want to buy the agency? And then in 2 years, because I have to wait a year, and then there was like 2 years something. But in 2 years, then I could buy it from Ricky. So it was like the little loophole. So that sucker took the test and passed it with flying colors.
Kidding.
Do you know what the test had on it?
What?
It was like, what's your favorite color? When you go out to a restaurant and order with a group of people, do you order the daily special? This is ingrained in my head. Do you order the daily special? Do you order what you're in the mood for? Do you order what everyone else does? Or do you order something new and exotic? And I said, I'm thinking sales, the daily special, because everybody needs to buy into what's on sale.
Right.
That was the wrong answer.
That's not what they wanted.
The right answer is you order what you're in the mood for, because that's what everyone does.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So they look at consistency. There were some other odd questions in there, but I just thought,
Ricky would ace that one, huh?
Of course he would. One of them was, what is the most important thing about owning your own business? Is it making your own schedule, hiring your own team, compensation, or I can't remember what the other one was. And I was just like, customer service. And my answer was serving my customers.
Sure.
That's what I want to do. And that's wrong. The correct answer is, why do you want to do this? Compensation.
Right. Yeah, you have a job to make money,
That's what Ricky said. He's like, duh, that's the right answer.
but you
Like,
can't make money without customers. And
right. So, but I am a true customer service person. Ricky is a numbers guy.
it was the right answer, just not the one they wanted.
Yes, it was the right answer for me. But so we have a really good dynamic in our office. He does the numbers, he does reports, he does payroll, he looks at the checkbook. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You're there to serve
Just
customers.
there to serve customers. Yeah. And so it works out really good.
So when Ricky's a part of it, your husband's a part of your
Yeah.
business.
Yes.
What's the dynamic working with your spouse?
We get along so good, but when he first started working in the agency, especially when we first bought it, I had the years of experience, and he had never done it. And he managed men. He's great at managing men. He was doing water hauling, and he was a company man. And so I think that's what they call it, company man. And so he worked at the trash company for 11 years. He was their general manager. So he can manage men like no other.
Women are different. Yeah.
But we have 2 women in the office, and so we're different. And so he would say something, I don't know, and we would just be like, hey, can you run to Walmart and get us some paper? He'd come back, hey, can you we're out of toilet paper. Can you run go get us some toilet paper? So he's a lot easier to work with when he's
Right.
out.
Keep him busy doing something. Yeah.
Yes.
Not with the women.
Yeah, so he'll go in usually about once a week, run reports and do that stuff. And then once a month, he does all the big stuff. But he's not he's not a sit still person at all. I mean, if you've ever seen my husband, he's always fidgeting. He likes to be outside.
Give him a project and give him.
So yeah, that's what we do. And we send him around and stuff and do stuff like that. So, but yeah, we work great together.
So when you were moving from working for someone else's agency to opening your own, so when you're working for someone, is it the same licensing as if you are the actual agent on the name on the building, or how's that process work when y'all were moving to buying your own agency? And
so as a sales producer, there's 2 tests you can take in Oklahoma, and one has a commercial piece to it, and one is just one's property casualty, and one is P&C. So property casualty has commercial involved in it too. And so I could tell you another funny story about Ricky. That's tell you how smart he is. But the P&C doesn't have commercial. So most of your captive carriers, they don't really require you to have the commercial. But if you want to become an agency owner, you need to have all the things. And then some carriers even require you to have Series 6 and 63 so you can do variable stuff for life insurance and life and health. Most of them require you to have that too. I do sell a little bit of life insurance, but it's more of a just a offering if they ask me for it. I don't try to push it because I had quotas when I was captive, and I had to sell so much life insurance that it'd make you sick. So I'm just like, if they ask for it, I offer it, but it's not something that I don't have a quota anymore. But so working for someone, the license for me was the same because I had the commercial piece. I went ahead and took the bigger test. And then I got the 6 and 63 whenever I opened my own agency. But you can do it with the shorter, smaller test. And but to own an agency, you really need to have the bigger, the property and casualty with the commercial piece.
So the agency that you guys bought or opened, or is it, what's the difference in just working as a State Farm agent, or are you guys like an independent agent? You work for multiple carriers, or how's that system work?
So my experience is I was captive with State Farm and I was captive with Allstate. And the difference is they have a little bit of guardrails about, what you can sell. Like their products are all branded State Farm. They're all State Farm. Now, here in recent years, and I think this kind of happened after COVID, some of these carriers, the captive carriers, like State Farm and Allstate, have branched out and they have an outside market that they can tap into. So let's just say you have a farm ranch. The standard homeowner's policy doesn't cover a farm ranch, so that you would have to go out and get something that would cover equipment, livestock. So they have agreements with other carriers. They're not fully independent. You have to try it with their carrier first. And if it doesn't fit into the appetite, you can reach out. Farmers is doing really good about doing that now. They've opened up a lot more carriers. So they're not fully independent. The way I understand the contracts are you have to try to place them in a Farmers or State Farm or Allstate product. And if it doesn't fit, then you can reach outside.
Okay.
But what I am is I'm independent. So I am not captive. I can pick any carrier that I want, and which fits me better because I'm able to help more people.
Right.
Because your situation is different than my situation, and this particular policy may not cover everything that you need, or it may cover more than you need. And so we have ways to work around that. So I prefer the independent model just because I have more freedom. One of the biggest things being independent is I get to pick my hours of when I'm open.
Oh, yeah.
So-
they set those standards too. And
So yeah, when you're captive, not every captive agency, I want to be very careful so I don't say something wrong. But some captive agents have to have a certain phone system. They have to have certain hours.
kind of like a McDonald's franchise has
Yes.
to look the same.
Very much so. And with an independent model, you get to dictate how that looks. There's independent agents that work straight from home. There's independents that don't even have an office, so you can do your business how you really want to. So like Christmas, we're going to be closed Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the day after.
And you set those hours.
Yes.
You don't have some corporate coming down to tell you what
corporate would tell me I had to open the day after Christmas on a Friday after Christmas. Like, nope, I'm not doing that.
Nobody's shopping for insurance on
Nobody's
Friday after
doing
Christmas.
that. And the same thing for New Year's. So New Year's Eve falls on a Thursday. Wait, New Year's Day falls on a Thursday, right?
I think so, yeah.
And so we're taking Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we're having a long weekend because I think my people...
You wouldn't get much done.
And I think my people appreciate it because I'm paying them to do that. So that's the one.
Just gives you, as an independent agent, gives you more flexibility.
Gives you independence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get to pick and choose which companies I want to work with, and they get to pick and choose whether they want to work with me.
That's good. Is that like your licensing? Is it something you have to renew every year?
Yes.
Is it a hard process to get?
No.
Or does it depend on which level of insurance agent you get? You said, commercial.
Yeah. So you can take online courses or you can take in-person courses. I actually took a course. Ricky did not. I took I went to Stone up in Oklahoma City, and it's a 2-day lecture. And I did that, and then the next day I took my test, and I passed it on the first try.
Nice.
Good. And my life and health, I did the same thing. I took the in-person class. I learned better in person. But Ricky, the funny story about him, since he got thrown into buying the agency, they send him to agency school. When you become an agent for a captive, they did like 10 weeks. So he did 8 weeks in Arizona and then 2 weeks in Chicago. So they do this like really heavy, like it's all day, every day information, like all about their stuff. So, but by the time you open your agency, you're supposed to have your property casualty and your life and health. Well, here I am. I'm scheduling his testing for him, and I scheduled him to take the P&C, which is the smaller test.
Oh.
So he flies home on a weekend. He takes the test, and he passes it, which is great. We're done. We're excited. Okay, that was the hurdle we had to get over. So he goes back to class, and then the instructor's like, does everybody have their life and health? Because you got to sell life insurance. He did not. So they said, before you leave this 10-week workshop, whatever you want to call it,
you have to have passed that.
You have to have your life and health. So he flew home. Like he had a booklet.
It was in the state that you have to test in the state or something?
Yeah, so he had to fly home to Oklahoma to get his Oklahoma license because our agency would be here. So he had a booklet that he was studying out of. Have you ever studied just like out of a book to take a test? It's hard. But this man, he did it. He tries to act like a dumb old country boy.
I'm like you. I'm in an in-person type.
Yeah, he acts like a dumb old country boy, but he flew back. Like with it, he was in class all day. He would study at night. All the others were going out to dinner and doing all the things, and he didn't. He stayed in his room and he studied, and flew back, passed his life and health. Then they told him the P&C. When he got to Chicago, the last 2 weeks, you graduate. They call it Allstate University. And in order to graduate, you have to have your property and casualty, your life and health. Well, he had P and C. So he had to fly home again and take the property casualty. And that was tougher. I don't remember how many hours. It's 2 or 3 hours. I don't remember. But so he flew back and he was taking the test, and he said nothing was clicking. He couldn't answer any of the questions. So he said he got up and he went to the bathroom. He can tell this so much better than I can. But he goes into the bathroom and he said he just prayed. And he said, God, if this is in your will, if you want us to have this agency, you've got to help me. Like, you have got to help me. And he wiped his tears and he goes back in there and he answered the questions and he hit the submit and he passed. And I was just like,
thank the Lord. Yeah.
I know. Like, how do you do that? Like, no experience. Like, so a lot of his friends.
He got it without ever working in an agency.
Never. Only thing he knew was what I would come home and talk about. So, but he did it.
Well, good for him.
Very proud of him for that. I
No
mean,
kidding.
he still says he had no knowledge. He just passed because it was God's will. And I trust that. Because, you ask him a question now.
He's already forgot it all since then.
Well, a lot of stuff that you take on the test, it's like
you don't use every day.
Yeah, it's like you don't say HO3. You say homeowner's policy.
Right.
So when you're taking a test, it's HO3, HO8,
but you're not going to use those.
You don't use those terms in real life. You use homeowner's insurance and renter's insurance, or fire insurance or whatever. Right. So
When y'all were getting started, how did you rent a place? Did you take over the place of the agency, or because you have since bought a new office, right?
Yes.
How'd y'all start as far as real estate went?
Okay, so we kind of cheated a little bit. In order to own an all-state agency, you have to have, at this time, now it's more, you had to have $50,000 in liquid cash in your bank account, and you had to show that. So he had left one job and he got a severance package, and we had $10,000 in our name. But we knew we could do it, without the money. So we borrowed the money from his parents to put in our account for 24 hours, and then we moved it back out. And we lived off that $10,000 to open the agency because we had other income coming from his where he's hauling water.
Yeah.
He had that income. So the first 2 years were pretty rough, but
you got all these new things you need to buy and people to pay. And
well, what they want you to do, and what we didn't do, is they want you to spend all this money on advertising. They want you to put billboards up. They want you to put ads everywhere, and we didn't do that. And we still don't. We still don't advertise. If we advertise, we post something on Facebook. So we were able to save so much money compared to other agents that are just spending all this money on marketing. So we just organically, he knew a lot of people coaching wrestling for almost 30 years now.
Friends, family, contacts.
So we just started, he had over 1,000 contacts in his phones, and he would just start calling people right off the phone instead of, spending all that money on advertising. So we had a tight budget and we made it work, and we were very, really poor for a long time until it kicked off. It took us, I would say, probably about 5 years before we started seeing enough cash flow that we could pay ourselves a real salary.
You got a book of business.
Yeah.
That's big enough to pay.
Yes. Yeah. And we were comfortable when we sold our Allstate agency. We were comfortable there, but we were tapped out. We couldn't grow anymore. We were at that bubble of, okay, unless we really change our model, and we didn't want to do that. We like the hometown, face-to-face. I don't like internet leads. I don't like all that stuff. So in order for us to grow beyond where we were, we had to go independent.
Oh, I see. So like with Allstate, the only growth would be either adding salespeople or opening multiple offices?
Yeah, you would have to you'd have to get more offices, because you only have so many people in Duncan.
Right.
And our reach is not huge. Now I have customers all over the state, and I do have customers even in Texas, but it's small. Most of my business, probably 60% of it, is Duncan, and then the other 30% is Marlow, Comanche, Bray,
outskirts area.
Yeah, and maybe probably 5 or 10% is outside of that range. So,
well, and we'll get into politics more too as we talk about your time in the state house, but as far as you want to explain like the insurance, how it's regulated, like state to state, and how different, like homeowners insurance is different from health insurance, right?
Homeowners
You want to break out some of those things, how those are set up in Oklahoma? It's different from state to state?
So, Oklahoma, we do have high insurance rates, but I will say we have a lot of high claims. So, and I can use this example for a home in Marlow. I've got a guy, and I won't say his name. Y'all probably know him. But he had a claim on his roof in 2017, and the claim for his new roof was $15,000. That was 2017. In 2020, he got hit with hail again. So, I mean, not 3 years later, now he's having to put a new roof on. Filed another claim, and now it was it was in 2020, it was $23,000 for the new roof. So it went from 15 to 23 in 3 years. Of course, it was right at 2020, so things were just starting to ramp up because of COVID. He got a new roof in 2023, $58,000. Same house, same roof, same policy. I promise you. And I can prove it to you. I mean, because he's still with the same policy. So when you take that into consideration and what happens, and I love my roofers, don't get me, I'm not going to bash roofers. We have good roofers, but we also have some bad actors.
Sure.
What happens is you get door knocker roofers from out of town, and because they have apps now that can tell you like exactly pinpoint the size of the hail and where the hail hit. So they'll canvass an area and do some door knocking, and the bad actors will get these people on the hook. Give me your insurance, I'll take care of everything. So like if I knocked on your door and I said, hey Cody, we had some hail, your neighbor's getting a new roof, let me check your roof, I can get you a new roof and I won't charge you for it.
Well, sounds good. Yeah, sign me
free
up.
Roof, right? And your insurance is going to go down because now you have a new roof. Well, it's illegal to do that, but we know it happens. That is, the insurance companies are responding to that because they know it's happening too. So what they're doing is they're raising deductibles. They're denying more claims because if the hail storm doesn't reflect the damage on the roof, they're not going to pay it. So in Oklahoma, you can buy a 30-year roof, but typically a roof is going to last in Oklahoma about 15 years, realistically. And it's because we have wind, we have hail, and we have hot sun. So the sun's beating down on your roof all the time. The wind's always blowing, and it's wearing it out. It's not a sudden thing. So insurance covers sudden and accidental. Right. So a major hailstorm, you get some golf ball size hail, yes, that will compromise the integrity of the roof. But when you have little pea-size hail, 3 and 4 and 5 times, it slowly
deteriorates the roof.
That's not covered under insurance. So although your roof needs replaced, it's on the homeowner to replace that roof when it gets worn out. So what's happening is some roofers that they don't understand how insurance works, which maybe they need to know how it works because adjusters have to and insurance salespeople have to, is we don't cover wear and tear. But they can legitimately go on your roof and say, you need a new roof. Yeah, you probably do. If it's 15 years old or 10 years old and it's been in the wind and the hail and it's not been under a major hailstorm, but that's still on the homeowner to replace that.
They have to pay for that out of pocket at that point?
Yeah, so it's like your tires on your car. You can't claim your tires on your car because they wear out.
Normal wear and tear. Yeah.
Normal wear and tear, and that's the roof. But we have trained people to get a new roof based on a claim every 7 years on average. And if you do that, so you pay $3,000 a year for insurance, and every 7 years you're getting a $25,000 to $30,000 roof, the insurance company
paying for itself,
right?
Yeah.
And so insurance companies are pushing back and saying, okay, they're eliminating cosmetic damage. So in Oklahoma, if you have granule loss from pea-sized hail, that constitutes a new roof with some carriers.
Yeah, you see it in your gutter. It'll be full of the granulars.
Yeah. So does it really compromise the integrity of the roof? No, it doesn't. It's not going to cause it to leak or break. What has to happen is that that roof has to
Move,
be
buckle, or-
compromised. Yeah, to crack. So it will cause it to leak. So there's just a lot of problems that it's not one thing. I mean, in homeowners insurance, like if you have a loan on your home, let's say you buy a $200,000 home. You sell your old home and you're putting $100,000 down and you're borrowing $100,000. The market value of your home is $200,000 because that's what you just paid for it.
But your loan values.
Your loan value is $100,000. But your lender, since you're borrowing any money at all, will require you to carry full replacement.
Right.
So to rebuild your home, even though you may not ever rebuild in that neighborhood because it's a 1970s neighborhood or whatever, you're required to carry $350,000 on it, even though you only have a $200,000 risk because that's what you paid for it.
No.
So you're paying insurance on $350,000. You only owe $100,000 and you only paid $200,000. So you're paying a lot more in insurance than you really should be, but you don't have a choice because you're borrowing money and the lender's saying,
Lender
sorry,
requires this much.
we require full replacement. So that's driven up the cost of homeowners insurance too. There's just a lot of things.
How much of your business is like your standard homeowners policy and cars?
Probably 98%. I think I do very little commercial. I'll do some contractor, general liability. I can do commercial, but I don't love it. Right. It's not my favorite.
Homeowners and cars and
yep,
autos?
Home, auto, ATVs, motorcycles, stuff like that, trailers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we talked about insurance is regulated state to state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there, as far as those standards go, are there cookie cutter standards that every insurance company has to have this policy on for this dollar amount, it covers this, or is every policy a little different? How much flexibility?
Every policy is different in Oklahoma, and every state is different. So California, you see that when you over-regulate an insurance carrier, they leave the state.
Right. Yeah.
So
you want a healthy, competitive market.
Right. So right now, I believe there are over 100 home and auto carriers in the state of Oklahoma doing business. About 53 of those carriers are open for business. So they're accepting business. So
some of them are licensed here. They're just not actively.
Well, they may have stuff on the books, but they're not taking any new.
Right.
Or they just have a contract to do business, but they're just not ready to do business. So, for example, one of my carriers last year just froze all new business. They said, we're not writing any new business. Our homeowners' losses are way too high. We'll take auto, but we won't take any home. So they took a lot of auto to try to balance that book out because the auto market was actually profitable.
Right.
But the homeowners was a negative. They were running at 110% loss. So for every $100 they were taking in, they were paying out 110 in claims on the home side. So that was 2023. So we're in a really hard market right now. There was a time when I first opened my independent agency in 2021, I was writing business like crazy. Like I grew by $1 million in a year, like so fast. And that, like I said, not spending any money. The second year, it was a little harder. And then this last year, about the last 18 months, homeowners, carriers, I won't name all their names because I don't want to get in trouble. But like there's a carrier right now that has certain zip codes in Oklahoma. They won't write business there. They'll write it in Duncan, but they won't write it in Oklahoma City.
You mean like Moore, where the hailstorm hits?
Cleveland and Oklahoma County are off limits right now. Wow. For whatever reason. They just will not write business there. So if we do too much to regulate them, they'll pull out or they'll stop writing business, which that's not going to have a competitive market. There are some smart things we can do. I'm writing a couple bills in the insurance space. I'm writing a couple bills in the property tax space. But one of the things that could possibly help is independent actuaries. So right now, Oklahoma is they self-report. So if they're running at a loss or they're running at a profit, they tell the insurance commissioner. They tell Oklahoma Insurance Department. But we can't see behind the curtain.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay. They're
self-reporting. So we just take them at their word, and they do their thing. They have their actuaries that tell all this stuff. And so I've run a bill. I filed a bill to have an independent actuary. It's going to be a little painful. The insurance companies aren't going to like it, but if everything's on the up and up, it's a small, it's a small expense for the independent actuary, but it will open it up so we can see behind the curtain. And if things are exactly what they say, then we know that it's legitimate. Like the rates are reflective of what's really happening. Are we on to politics? Or we
can mix it if you want.
Okay. The other bill that I'm running is we are a use then file. So the insurance companies can use a higher rate and then file it with the Oklahoma Insurance Department after they start use. So today they could say, we're doing a rate increase of 20% across the board, starts tomorrow. There's no waiting period. There's no looking at it from the insurance commissioner or anything. So I'm running a bill to flip it to file the rate increase, wait 30 days for it to be reviewed, and then it goes into effect. So there's a window.
Would that be kind of like, I'm trying to understand how they're regulated, like our utilities, if they want to increase their kilowatt rate or something, they have to get approval first before they can put it onto the consumer. Is that what you're saying? Like insurance would have to
that's how it is.
Submit the rate increase first.
So right now, the insurance companies don't have to submit it first. They just use the higher rate and then tell you about it later. So this would slow it down a little bit. And if there's a problem with it, then the insurance commissioner, the Oklahoma Insurance Department, they have 30 days to review. Hey, such and such ABC Insurance is going to raise their rates 20% in 30 days. And it gives them a chance to say, wait a minute, why are you doing this? Because right now, once you put the new rate out there, it's really hard to pull it back.
Right.
So I think we've got to do something. So I'm trying to think of some common sense ways that we can maybe slow it down a little bit and still allow the insurance companies to do what they need to do to remain, viable.
Sure. But you want them to be profitable and take care of business.
Right. So we want some common sense stuff.
How much of the rates from home, auto, how much are those regulated at all? Or how much of it is a competitive market, or?
It's competitive, but what we believe is happening, and there's no proof of this, is that maybe the top insurers, they kind of set the guidelines because what they can, I don't want to use the wrong words, but what they can get away with, then the little guys can get away with it too.
Well, I can say it. I'm not in office. Like State Farm is our largest by far, right, provider in Oklahoma. 30% of homeowners, and I mean, so if they set the market,
right. But everything kind of goes in line because they have the biggest market share. Right. I mean, that's just true capitalism. That's just how the market it works. What can the consumer afford?
If State Farm raises my rates, can I go somewhere else for a more competitive rate?
Right, and if they can't, then that's where we are because they have the biggest market share. So usually,
they set the standard.
I think there's like four big players, really. Yeah. And
I was going to say, you say 53 active. I can think of a handful, the big names, but maybe it's marketing. State Farm, Progressive, Allstate, Farmers Shelter. Yeah. To me, there's 5 or 6.
Yeah. Yeah, you have Safeco, Liberty Mutual, Geico, MDOW, American Modern.
You just don't hear those, but maybe it's marketing.
Yeah, it is marketing. So you have regional carriers and you have national carriers. And your regional, like Great Northwest and American Modern and Encompass or whatever, they're not as big. So yeah, I know a lot more of them because I use them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. You sell them. So, how much of we're talking about like the policy plan? Is this a state regulated deal or? There's certain things that's covered in my homeowner's policy. I'm like, I don't need jewelry. I don't care about covering my jewelry. Or
some of them are really, really standard.
Is this a state standard? Like they have to supply that?
I believe, yes, because some of those questions are on the test. Like what's the maximum they're going to cover for money? Like $250 cash. So if your house burns down and you have a safe full of $100 bills, you're out of luck. If somebody breaks in your house and steals cold hard cash, you're out of luck. $250. That's it.
All.
Yeah, jewelry.
That's like a state standard. That's not something like State Farm or somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You
or
can
state minimums or something?
right. So or that's what's built in.
Okay.
But you can cover more. Like if you have, gold pieces and you want to cover that, you can buy a policy that covers specific amounts.
Yeah.
Firearms. A lot of people do it with firearms, collectibles, antiques, guns.
Yeah, we have the personal items provisions. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That adds in some of those things?
Yeah. And so if you want, pretty much like if you have $100,000 house and you have $50,000 worth of contents and your house burns down to the ground, it's gone. You're pretty much going to get the $100,000 and the $50,000, and nobody's going to ask questions on a most likely. But if someone breaks into your house and you have $50,000 worth of contents coverage, and you suddenly have the diamond necklace from the Titanic missing,
Yeah.
they're not going to pay you $50,000 for that. Yeah, they're not going to give you that. So if you have the Titanic diamond, you need to have it specified and everything documented properly. And that's basically mostly for theft. Fire and tornado, there's not a lot of worry. Firearms are very specific because they're easily stolen. Jewelry is easily stolen. TVs, that's not really that big of a deal. But there are special limits on hearing aids. Because they're $5,000, to get a good set of hearing aids, jewelry, those kind of things you'd want to specify.
And those are usually like company standards. It's not a state.
Yeah, so
this is the policy y'all can sell, and that's it?
I think the state is like $1,500 for jewelry, $25 max. Firearms is like $1,500. I might be wrong, but it's a standard. And then anything above and beyond that would have to have an endorsement on the policy.
Okay.
Specifically. And so, like, some people are like, I don't want to put my serial numbers on my firearms.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
And I'm like, well,
they won't be covered, right? Yeah.
They're not going to be covered. They'll be covered, but they're only going to be covered for $500, at the max. And if you have, $10,000 worth of firearms and somebody wipes you out, you're out of luck.
Yeah, if the insurance company asked me how many guns I had, it was like $50,000 worth. But if the government asked me, it's none.
Zero. Yeah, exactly right.
They drowned in the lake out there.
Yeah. So, I have some customers. I've got one customer who's got a page of firearms.
Yeah.
It's just like and they're all specific dollar.
We have a mutual friend that they had their house burnt, and he used to own a gun store.
And
he had
yes.
thousands and thousands of dollars worth of priceless guns.
And it's unfortunate if it's not specifically
Hopefully
listed.
he did, yeah. But you don't think about those kind of things.
Yeah.
That you always hear people say, be sure and take videos of your contents or something. Have pictures, recent pictures of your contents, right? Or
yeah, and I did misspeak on that. So if you had a fire like that and you have $100,000 worth of firearms and you only have $100,000 worth of contents coverage, what about your couches and love seats and all that? They're not going to specifically cover each firearm.
You'll just get that.
You'll get like a blanket amount for everything. Anything you can shake out of your house is your personal property.
Personal property, yeah. What about autos? How much of that is regulated at the state level? Because we have state minimums, right, that you have to have uninsured, total.
State minimum in Oklahoma is $25,50, so that's $25,000 for bodily injury. If you hit someone, your insurance minimum will pay out $25,000 for their doctor bills for one person. 50 is the middle number. Your policy will pay up to $50,000 no matter how many people are there. So no one gets more than 25, but if there's 10 people in a van, there's only $50,000 max. So hopefully they're not
for all 50 or for all 10 people.
That's it. Wow. 50 max. That's what you're paying for. And then the last number, the 25 is 25,000 is what, if you rear end somebody, the most they're going to pay is 25,000 to fix their car. So guess what happens when you carry state minimum and you hit someone? You're getting sued.
Right.
You're getting sued and you're going to lose your home and you're going to lose your business or anything else that's not protected if you carry the state minimum.
And that's the minimum, that's the maximum they will pay on
That's the maximum they will pay. If that's all you buy, if you are carrying state minimum, anything over that 25,000, and most cars today are worth well over 25,000 even for
I don't think there's a car under 30,000 anymore.
Yeah, even your little roller skate cars are still they're 25 to 30,000. And so if you are, unfortunately, I use this example all the time. If you're driving down the road and a toddler runs out in front of you, you're going to swerve.
Right.
You're going to swerve to miss the toddler, and you're going to hit the car on the curb, or you're going to hit the tree, or you might hit the little old lady in the front yard chasing her kid. If you only have $25,000 of insurance, you're going to be in a bind.
Because you're responsible for everything you hit, even though it was the toddler's fault.
Yeah.
You swerved to miss it.
You blame the toddler. It's you're driving.
That's a good point, and I've done the same thing. I think my truck, because I drive it the most, I think we did like 100, 300, 100 or something. We definitely boosted it up.
Yeah, so that's
for that reason, because we drive it more. The other ones stay in town most.
So you can even get an umbrella policy, which is you can get $1 million and up, 5 million, 10 million. You can buy as much insurance as you want, and you can be insurance poor if you really want to. But 100, 300, 100 is the bare minimum I would recommend. Bare minimum, because $100,000 in doctor bills. I mean, a meta flight to Oklahoma City, how much is that?
Yeah, it costs that almost.
Right? So if you're eating your cheeseburger and you drop a pickle and you swerve and you hit somebody and they're dead, $100,000 is not enough.
Not going to cover you.
Yeah.
I have realized, I try to save $1 everywhere I can, but really adding those, it's another 10, 15, 20 bucks a month.
It's cheap, yeah.
Yeah, I think that which a big $1 million blanket policy is pretty expensive. But if you you have a lot of risk,
Yeah. If you have a lot to protect, I mean.
Right, yeah.
I wouldn't recommend an umbrella policy for a 21-year-old kid.
If your net worth's $5,000, you don't need $1 million blanket.
Living in an apartment and doesn't have anything.
Not a lot they can take.
Right. Then, I would still recommend above minimum liability, but at the end of the day, I'll probably just, not an umbrella for that person.
You bring up a good point. That's a good question for, I think most of our listeners are business owners, quote, higher income earners. They own assets. As an insurance agent, what do you suggest for personal and business property and life? And what would you tell someone that came in that owned assets?
Someone who has a little money in the bank for a catastrophe, that can pay their deductibles and that can fix things on their own. I would just suggest high deductibles and just maintain your property and stuff. But I would carry at least $1 million liability, which requires you to have $300,000 on your home liability, which is $30 a year.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah, $30 a year for 300. You can even bump that up to $500,000 for $50 a year.
A year, a month.
A year.
Oh, that's cheap.
It's cheap, right? It's cheap when you're talking about if somebody has a swimming pool at their house.
That's right. Somebody comes over and drowns in your pool.
I had this happen to me. There was not to me, but a customer of mine in Texas. The couple was out of town. They had a pool. They live in a very nice neighborhood. Gate was locked. Do not enter. All the things. They had a privacy fence. Some teenage boys jumped the fence. The family was out of town, so they were uninvited. Jumped the fence, and a 15-year-old boy drowned. We paid out policy limits for that policy.
Wow.
He was uninvited. He was breaking in, and we paid out $500,000 for his death.
How was that a judge order, or
it's an attractive nuisance. So it's not a judge order. It was just the insurance company said, somebody died. We're just going to pay this. This is not something we're going to go to court over. But let's say that there was some negligence. $500,000 still isn't enough.
Right.
So I always try to tell, people that have something to lose, like I said, you can be insurance poor. You don't want to spend an extra $10,000 a year if you don't have to. But if it's an extra $300 a year to protect something, it's got to make sense for you. It's just like health insurance or anything else. You've got to budget it in where it fits, but also get the most protection you can within your budget.
Sure. It would take, if it was $2,000 a year for $1 million or whatever it is, and if you used it one time.
It's not that much. I think, you can probably get $1 million liability for $400 or $500. And depending on how much you have under it and how old, if you've got teenage drivers, that drives the price up because teenage drivers are sloppy.
So the price kind of managed by the risk, or
yes.
Is that how the insurance company looks at it?
Yeah,
too?
so they look at your age, they look at your credit, they look at the household drivers. So if you've got a 16-year-old driving a 2023 Camaro, your rates are going to be high.
Yeah. Yeah, we have rental property, so I'm sure that adds risk, right?
It does. Yeah, and that has to be. So the underlying limits have to be high enough for the umbrella to work. So you have to have 250, 500, 250 on the auto. So $250,000 for medical up to $500,000, and then $250,000 for damage to property. So let's say you're sitting in the gas station and you put your car in park and you're looking at your phone for a second, and then you're about to drive off. So you think you put it in reverse and you put it in drive, and you drive through the front of the gas station.
Oh.
You need that $250,000. That $25,000 is not going to help you. That $100,000 may not even help you in that situation.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
So
hope for the best, plan for the worst.
So if you look at, if I bump it up to 250, 500, 250, is it $6 a month more, or is it $60 a month more? And where do you want to be? If it's $6 a month, you just do it.
Pretty no-brainer.
Yeah. So I mean, I offer all of it. So
do you sell much health insurance?
I do not.
You don't sell health insurance. That's a totally different market, or pretty
I'm
much.
licensed in it, but I just don't like it.
You don't?
I have so much with P&C.
Right.
Yeah.
How does life insurance? Do you sell much of those?
Not really.
You don't? What do you suggest? What does Dave Ramsey say? Does he suggest like whole life rather than term life? What do you?
He's a term guy, and I'm a both.
Okay.
So I believe that when you're young, you're healthy, and you have children at home, and you have debt, you need to have a big fat term policy because they're cheap. So you need to have $1 million policy for when your kids are little, and they're like $60 a month.
Yeah.
But those expire. So you do that. So if you've got brand new babies, you need to get them through college. You need a 25-year plan, or a 30. Most of them go 30 years. 30.
You can set a term, 30 years, that far out?
term.
Oh, really? Okay.
Some 50-year terms.
Wow.
But you get it when you're in your 20s, when you're starting your family. And I mean, even a 20-year term would be adequate. Because once you start having children, you want to at least get them through high school.
Sure.
Bare minimum. And if you can get them through college, if you can afford that premium, then you do that. But it goes away. But that's your big fat policy, because that's when you still owe on your home. That's when you are starting businesses. That's when your kids cost the most money. And you're in your working years. So if someone, a parent passes, that income's got to come from somewhere. So that's why I do the term. And then
supplement that out, at least till your kids get out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you pay the $60 a month, and you just don't even think about it. And it's a worst case scenario. And for the most part, you're probably going to outlive it, but it's a protection for that risk, that time, until your kids are old enough. Like, even if you get them till they're 18 or 16, they can drive, they can get a job. They can help mom out, or they can help dad out. Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But when they're 6 or 7 years old,
they rely on that income.
Daycare income. You don't want to move your family out of the home. That's the family home. So you want that money to be able to maintain that lifestyle if you can. And then whole life, people like to buy life insurance for investments and all these other things. A whole life policy is really if you don't have a savings account or something set up for your burial and your funeral expenses, you can build a whole life, and it grows a little bit of cash value depending on how you set it up, and you don't have to get crazy with it. But if you want to also pass wealth down to your family, a whole life is a good way to do it.
Really?
It's more expensive. It costs more money, and you need to do it when you're young and let it build that cash value over time. But it's a good way to build wealth because it never expires. As long as you pay that premium, it's never going to go away, and it just grows. So then
it gains cash value, whereas a term doesn't.
Correct.
Okay.
There are some term policies that they're like
investment engine or something.
Yeah, return of premium. So you pay on it for 30 years, and then you get all your money back except the $5 monthly fee. They keep that for the service, but you pay into it and you get it back. But you got to keep it for 30 years. And for the most part, most people don't keep it that long. Right. They keep it till their kids times get hard. So I always try to tell people, get the life insurance you can afford to keep if you worked at McDonald's.
Right.
Because if you can't keep that policy, there's no point in getting it. But if you can get something in your budget, get the most you can get, and still work at McDonald's and be able to afford it, that's what you need to at least do. That's the bare minimum you need to do.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's roll into your politics.
Okay.
So what's the seed there? Why did you decide to run for office? Were you always political? or was this something you saw a need through COVID or something? Tell us why you got into politics.
So I was political from my couch,
Yeah.
yelling at the TV all the time, but I wasn't really political. Other than that, I looked at national stuff way more, but really COVID, and in the House of Representatives, my colleagues, a lot of people are like this. COVID opened up our eyes to some things that we felt like were let down a little, and so it was just, and Marcus McIntyre wasn't running again, and so I was like, you know what, maybe this is the time, so I mean, I prayed about it. I was actually approached, but I prayed about it for 4 months, and I just remember thinking, just like I did with insurance, I have no idea. Like, I don't know how any of it works. And even after I got elected, I still don't know how it works. It's still hard.
I'm learning that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn.
There are a lot of moving parts in there, and the building is different than home. So when you're talking to your constituents, the way you communicate with them is completely different than what you communicate at the Capitol, because everyone at the Capitol, what do you call it? Like type A personalities.
Right.
They're
all first in their class.
They're there. They're there for a reason. And so negotiating with people like that, you have to, I think sales really helps because you can get to a middle ground, and it's so very hard. Because when you're on the outside, where I was before I was elected, I'm like, they should just do this and they should just do that. And why aren't they doing it? One person can't do it. I promise you.
Yeah.
You can go up there with a sledgehammer and you can't get anything done. The harder you swing, the harder they push back.
You make enemies instead of friends.
Yeah. So it's all about really relationships, working together, coming to a middle ground, because we can't all the way be over here. And we can't always all be over here. There are some principal things that you can be matter of fact about, but you never compromise that. But you can meet someone somewhere and make things work. I mean, it doesn't have to be so far over here and so far over there. And I learned a lot. So, if you vote for this or that, you're a rhino. And I was like... I used to think that way too. I was just like, how can they vote for that? That's just awful, because there's something else on the backside that you're not seeing. But
yeah, you either take a little bit of what you can get, or if I make this decision, it negatively affects.
Right.
I got positive change over here, but then it's creating a negative effect over here. Or
it's kind of like property tax and insurance. Like, we want insurance rates to come down, but if we sit there and tell the insurance companies, you can't raise rates, they're leaving. And then we have
mandate rates, they won't participate. Yeah.
Then we have no insurance. And then we're relying on the government to provide a product. And have you ever tried to buy a government product? It's no. So there's a balance, and it's like property taxes, ripping the Band-Aid off and saying no more property tax for homestead. That is going to be, if that gets on the ballot and it passes, which if it gets on the ballot, it will pass.
Sure.
It is going to be like opening the floodgates to issues. Not saying I don't want it. I would love to not pay property taxes. Do you want to pay them? I don't want to pay them. But do I want services?
Right.
Do I want a sheriff's department? Do I want deputies to come? I want those things. So we have to figure out how we have to pay for it.
Right.
And so there's just
every issue, every bill that comes across, you have to think about.
Yeah.
This sounds great here, right now, but what are we negatively affecting after the fact?
There's always
give and take. How do we fix it over here?
And sometimes you're not going to get everything that you want. It's kind of like getting rid of income tax. We all want to get rid of income tax, state income tax. Would love that. But there's a backside to it that you have to consider. And
everything that income tax funds has to go away.
So we have to figure out a way to move it in a strategic, smart way and bite it a little bite at a time. And then some people are so pure in the way they read and do things that if it's not 100%, I don't want it. I'm a no. And that doesn't move the needle. And that's a problem. So
that's a good point you make. It was a lot like abortion in Oklahoma, or even I think Texas too. But they went from, you just limit it. It was, some of them wanted
this away
100%. Yeah, we went to like a 6-week heartbeat bill, and then finally we got rid of.
Right.
I guess you could do that, and even with taxation, you can slowly try to limit it.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, in a perfect world, we can, do the magic wand
No
and
more
get rid of
taxes.
get rid of taxes and get rid of all the stuff we don't really want. We have some fluff in government that we probably don't need, but you can't just take a sledgehammer and just destroy it all, because it just doesn't work that way. And before I was elected, I really thought that that's how, like, I could go up there and just be like, we're not doing this.
If they let me in there,
it's not going to happen. Like,
slash it all, huh?
yeah, you just can't do it. There's just no way to do that. So you have to work with people. And you and I, even though we align on probably 80 to 90% of the things, there's going to be something that you might like that I don't like. And so in order for us to get anything done, I'm going to have to say, yeah, okay, we can paint the school buses black if you want to, but we're still putting new tires on them, right? Yeah, we'll put new tires on and we'll paint it black. Okay, fine. We're getting somewhere. We're both winning. And sometimes you have to do that.
You have to be willing not to take 100%.
Yeah, and we're not fighting
50, 60%.
Trust me, we're not fighting the Democrats up there.
Right.
We're fighting each other.
Because y'all have a super majority.
Yes. Yeah. And we're eating our own. If we're not careful, nothing will happen. So we have to really, and you have your center part of Oklahoma, your Tulsa, Oklahoma City area, and then you have your rural area, and we all are very different. Like wind energy is very big in some areas.
Yeah. They depend on it in the Northwest or.
Right. And the same with the solar. It's like, I don't like subsidies. I don't want government subsidies, and I don't want it. But how am I going to tell a farmer what he can do with his land? So you have to figure out a way to make it fair. Yeah. For both sides. So. Yeah.
My last guest, he is a landman who does solar deals. He went from oil and gas to solar and wind. And he brought up a very good point and some of these groups that I'm meeting now, some of them, farmers, landowners depend on. And if you want to talk about subsidies, the ag business is the most subsidized. Right. Other than healthcare, I think the ag business is almost totally subsidized.
Right.
But they depend on oil and gas leases, and the solar and wind are revenue streams for landowners that gives them the ability to keep their land or their operation in the family, right? So if you cut all that or you ban it, some people want to ban it completely.
Right.
You may kill some farms and break some families up.
Unintended consequences. Right. So, yeah, we had some bills last year that they worked on, and we just couldn't come to the right balance of what is fair to a landowner and what is fair in business. And so nothing happened. So we just left it alone. It's like, if you can't compromise and work it out, maybe there's setbacks for oil and gas, and there are some setbacks for wind. And maybe we could do a little bit more setback, in my mind, if, something's this tall and it's going to hit,
whichever way it falls, it can't hit something, right? Yeah.
That kind of made sense. But then the tip of the windmills now are getting way higher because they're becoming
300, 400 feet, whatever.
Yeah. So and then I worry about who's going to clean this up when they stop working, because that will happen.
Sure.
I mean, you can't maintain them forever. And new energy things are coming every day. Things are getting smaller. Look at our phones and computers and everything. This is bigger than any computer I had in the 80s.
Right.
This big, like everything's there. And so things are starting to change. And so I just want to be careful of who's going to clean up the mess. Like, we have abandoned wells.
Right. And had to go back and
the state
increase the fund. And
yeah, the state pays $25,000 a well to plug it. But who's going to come in there and clean it up when those windmills become obsolete? And they may. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you need some kind of a bond or fund on the back end to clean up some of these projects.
Put it on the insurance companies.
If it's abandoned. Yeah, put it on the insurance
Put it back on them so they'll raise their rates, Like, we got to clean up everything.
That's true.
It's like there's so many moving
And you have
parts.
to think long term, too.
Yeah.
You're right. Like, you don't know what's changing, whether it's modular, nuclear. You've heard all these different things, some battery powers.
We want good, clean energy. We want affordable energy. We have some of the lowest energy rates in the nation, and we want to maintain that. We want to keep it that way. I mean, there's the one thing that I'm concerned with is when they do put windmills in different areas is transmission lines. That's because that's eminent domain, and I don't like that. I mean, we have it for a reason, but if you're putting windmills in Stevens County and you're trying to get it to Tulsa, then you're going
You have to go through all those.
Yeah. And so that is a big concern. So I'm glad that the subsidies are gone. And that if you are a viable business and you do this on your own without the government helping, then, I mean.
Yeah, as a private property owner, you should be able to do with your property as you see, please, as long as it doesn't affect your neighbor in a negative way.
You have to protect your neighbor.
But all the other taxpayers shouldn't have to subsidize your business, right?
Right, exactly.
It's one thing to get an industry off the ground with a little bit of help,
right.
but decades of subsidy to keep it going, I think that's excessive. Yeah. It's one thing to ask the taxpayers to help the car business get off, building new cars or something. But if it can't survive on its own, eventually it's got to fail.
And we
have to let stuff fail sometimes.
And I don't know anything about wind energy or oil and gas and how all the nuances of that work. So, I mean, I have to rely on Brad.
Yeah.
I ask him a lot of questions.
Experts.
Yeah. So, and that's something else that you do up there. You realize there's doctors up there. There's attorneys up there. There are business owners, there are insurance agents, there's all kinds of people that have a wealth of knowledge in areas that I may not know. I have people ask me insurance questions, and then I will go to Doc Newton and ask him, questions about medical. He's an eye doctor. I'm like, hey, what about this? How's this going to work? I mean, TJ Marty sits right beside me, and he's a pharmacist. Like, how does this bill affect you? What are we looking at? So you have to be able to lean on the people in the room with you and understand when you don't understand, and then definitely you got to ask your constituents.
Yeah.
So if I have a doctor in my district, I'm calling them,
I think it's funny, too. We hate to use the term lobbyist, but we're all kind of a lobbyist.
Sure, yeah.
I'm a lobbyist for my business and my kids and my people, and you do rely on some groups to help you out, whether it's an insurance group or medical group or
somebody that's really well-versed in it. I had the funniest dinner. I have a group of supporters that really helped me. They knocked doors and everything. And we all went out, a bunch of veterans. And we went to dinner right after I was elected. And it was about the very beginning of session. We had passed some bills or something already, I don't remember where we were. But it might have been right after session got out. And anyways, I spoke to him and I said, I love hearing from you guys when you see a bill that is potentially harmful to your business and it's something I don't understand, or your farm or whatever, please email me and tell me. I said, I want to hear from my constituents. And I mean that. I do. I get emails every day. And one of the guys stood up and said, why don't you just go up there and do what I told you to do and you vote the way you think? I'm like, well,
you're not in an
good point.
Position.
I don't understand how that works in the farmland. I'm not a farmer. I don't know if this is going to hurt you or help you. And so I need to be able.
You're a lawmaker. You're not the executive. You can't just pencil whip an executive order and fix it right then, right?
So
you need the support of
I need to understand.
Another 50-something people, right?
I mean, and lobbyists are not all bad. Yeah. I mean, I had lobbyists come in, in the nursing home space and explaining to me how we give them so much per day per, resident, and how that all works and what it all goes to and how they're struggling and how they got fined for some paint chipping in the bathroom or something, and a couple $1,000 fine for something that was so minor in the big scheme of things. And I'm sitting here going, I had no idea. How am I supposed to know that?
I can't know everything.
So I need to hear from, she wasn't a lobbyist, she was a constituent, but she's in that space. And so she can enlighten me on something that I knew nothing about. I mean,
you rely on a lot of those. Yeah, they're not all negative. And the more I've been around them, you guys depend on them to be honest. And if they break their word with you as a legislator,
they get one chance.
Right?
Yeah, they get
so
one
y'all
chance.
hold those lobbyists accountable. It's not like they're coming in there flexing their chest at you, right?
Yeah, so
they have to earn your respect.
I had a real fun conversation because it's hard to tell them no, but you have to do it. And one of the lobbyists came into my office and he says, I need your support on this bill. And I said, I don't like your bill. And then he goes, well, what don't you like about it? Grabbed a piece of candy off my desk and he opens it up. What don't you like about it? And I told him what I didn't like about it. And he goes, well, you do think we need to have a conversation though, that this isn't, the industry's not good. And I said, I agree. We need to have a conversation, but your bill is not good. My heart was pounding so bad. I was just nervous because you have to have a backbone. You cannot be up there and not have a backbone. Because there's going to come a time when you're going to have to tell me you don't like something that I did, and I'm going to have to tell you why.
Right.
If you don't have a backbone, they will crush you.
Sure.
They will crush you.
Or you lose credibility with that person.
Right.
If I tell you one thing and then I tell this person.
Yeah. So I told him I didn't like the bill, and he left. And guess what? They changed it. they changed
the wording.
They changed some things. It was very strong. It was very harsh, and they changed it. And I still don't think it passed. It didn't pass. It didn't pass the House. It was still too aggressive. But I mean, you have to be able to hold your own and tell people. I mean,
sometimes especially when we're in these political groups that we're fighting over, we're looking to get the same place.
Mm-hmm.
We're just fighting over how we're going to get there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we're not negotiable on the details when we get there.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you suggest people kind of have an open mind about how we get there, even if we want to get to the same place?
Sometimes
be flexible on how we get there.
I mean, you have to eat an elephant one bite at a time, and sometimes in order to get there, because you have opposition so far away from you, that you have to get it an increment at a time.
Yeah.
And you have to
stand up. You have to have your foundation.
You can't compromise your principles. Yeah, you have your non-negotiables. I'm not going to sell my soul.
Right.
You know.
I'm not giving up sex changes for kids.
No, never.
That's a wall.
Nope.
That negotiating chips off the table.
Nope, we're not doing
crazy like that.
Yeah, we're not doing all that. We're not doing that.
Well, as so you've been through one session total, or is it?
It's one session is 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. So I've been through half.
Okay, and then what were your wins in your first session, as far as the good bills you got, or the bills that you were part of? Or?
So going in, my goal was to play defense. I was saying, I'm of the mindset we have enough laws, we have enough junk on the books. I mean, our Oklahoma Constitution, we have too much junk on the books. And so my mindset was play defense, stop junk from coming in. And I had 3 bills that were transferred from other members, because in the House you can only have 8 bills. And so I had transfer bills, but I had 3 that went through. And they were all pretty good bills. I ran one that helped out the hospital with some of their stuff. What was it? One was when a parent... So if a parent has been convicted of child abuse, they cannot automatically have custody of their children. So let's say a mom and a dad, they split up. If you want custody of the child and you've ever been convicted of child abuse, you're not automatically given full parental rights. You can earn it back, but you have to prove it.
So we're not a review process.
Yeah, so we're not throwing kids in with a convicted child abuser. And so sometimes you can kind of
reasonable.
Yeah, it sounds like, why couldn't we do it? So we already do it for step parents, but we didn't do it for biological parents. So I mean, it was just a little tweak in the law.
It sounds like, we talk a lot about parental rights.
Right.
Don't want to trample on parental rights, but you want to protect the child too. And that's a weird.
It is a weird.
A biological parent should have the right over their child, but you want to protect the child.
But there's a path forward. So it was up to a judge's discretion. So if all the boxes were ticked, that, let's say that they had a child neglect charge from its grandpa and he didn't put shoes on his kid in 1956.
Case by case, it was reasonable.
Yes. Now the parents have passed away and grandpa is going to get custody of this child. Well, if grandpa has a child abuse charge that's because he didn't put shoes on his kids in the wintertime 50 years ago, maybe that's something we can take a look at. Sure. And then he can, it's a case by case. So it's not a definitive, you can never have your kids. It's, we're slow in the roll. We're going to make sure that the kids are safe.
It sounds like a good one.
Yeah.
What do you have coming up for this next session? Anything good? Anything groundbreaking?
I have I've got 3 or 4 insurance bills, the widow penalty bill. So right now, when you have a couple and the spouse dies and they call their insurance agent and they're like, hey, I need to remove John, he's passed away, their bill goes up, their rate goes up. Yeah. So, and not every carrier does it, but there are many that do, because a married rate gets a discount that a widow doesn't. So we have to be careful that we're not creating more problems. But Texas passed it last year, and I'm running the bill this year to stop your rate from going up until at least renewal.
Okay.
So if you renewed in January, your spouse passed away in February, you're locked into your rate until the 6 months is up or the year is up, depending on the policy. And it's not a big thing, but it is a big thing. Right. You have a widow woman that calls that's on a fixed income, and you just told her husband died, and now you're telling her bill's going up $20 a month. That's not fun.
That's hitting her both ways.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah.
And it's not fun for the agent either. Like,
right.
how awful of a
You don't want to make that call.
I'm doing this bill for me. No, I'm just doing it for the widow. I just think that that's been something that's bothered me for years. I've always hated that. And so I'm running that bill, and I think it'll fly. I think it'll be fine. It is a little regulation on the insurance companies, but I think it's common sense.
Sounds fair for the consumer.
Yeah, it's a consumer bill for sure. Trying to think, double the homestead exemption for property taxes. Another thing is the way they do the property tax. So if you have low income, senior citizens, they qualify for another break. So, but they do.
It was pretty low income, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm doing is instead of using the gross amount, because I have a constituent, she has a business in her home, and so they are taxing her based on her income, but not her expenditures. So I'm saying we're going to use your taxes.
Yeah.
So let's use your tax returns, and what that number is at the bottom, that's your income level. So she does embroidery. It's a small business, but she has one employee, and so it looks like on paper she's making $70,000 a year, but she's really making about 30.
Right. Yeah. Why wouldn't they tax the net? That sounds pretty reasonable.
I mean, that's a reasonable, right? So that's one that I'm running, and then the double homestead exemption, like we talked about in that meeting this morning, it hasn't been touched in 50 years. It's been $1,000. So I'm just saying, let's bump it to $2,000. For some people, that's $100 more off of their tax a year. It's not a gigantic amount that it's going to crush our county services, but it's enough that it can maybe take a little bit of the burden off of the homeowner.
Yeah.
So
especially on a retired income and it's fixed and
right. And if they freeze it, you can have the freeze, and then you're getting an extra little bit of exemption. That's an extra $100, $200 a year that can help.
Yeah.
$100 for someone on a $1,400 a month income is a big deal.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah. And they
a week's worth of groceries probably for them or something.
And they pay usually by the year, so it'll hurt a little less. And then their homeowner's insurance, hopefully we can get that, under control with the file then use instead of use and file, and then independent actuaries so we can see behind the curtain what's going on.
Bring a little more transparency and stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Transparency.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there'll be are we talking any major tax cuts or nothing real cultural issues that we're dealing, or social issues, right, that we're dealing with right now?
Not that I know of. The only issue is the humanure issue.
Yeah.
That's been brought up. That's a pretty big deal. Data centers are a big deal.
Yeah, data centers.
Yeah. So I imagine we're going to see some legislation concerning data centers and humanure, and maybe some wind again this session.
More like setback and just
possibly that's what we were looking at last year. Is we were looking at a common sense setback that would be fair for all, and we do it with other industry. So
yeah,
I don't think it's out. I don't think it's unreasonable. 5 mile setback is completely unreasonable.
Right. Yeah.
But 750 feet may not be unreasonable. Yeah. So I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what that legislation, who's carrying anything, but I think it'll come up. And as it comes up, we'll know I'll know better where I stand based on the language in the bill. So
okay,
there'll be a lot of reading going on.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as far as general life advice, people, especially women, what would you say to a working woman, that's starting out, trying to make their career and balance family life, and what general advice would you give to someone?
That's a hard question.
How does your faith play a part in your life? How do you balance all that?
I can give a lot of advice. I don't know how to
put you in the hot seat on that.
Yeah. For a young woman starting out, I would say your career is important, but family is more important. So you can put your energy in your career. And I think, a lot of women come in a little later, in their age where they become successful because they do spend more time nurturing the family. And I think, I think we really need to get focused on that. Anybody can do what they want. If you're a career person and that's just your goal, by all means go for it. But if you can spend time nurturing your family and raising your kids and give as much energy as you can, because they grow up like that.
Right.
They just grow up so fast. So I would say spend as much time with your kids as possible while they're little, and where you can have the most influence on them and the best impact on them, because it pays dividends in the long run, because you have good kids that will actually come back and help and mow grass and cut trees. And
They want to come over for dinner.
They want to come to dinner. So I would say that. And just, to me, you hear a lot about women not being able to do what a man does, or the success. But I'm living proof that you can do whatever. I mean, I was the first person in my family to graduate high school.
Really?
My mom and dad didn't graduate high school. I was the first person in my family to ever enroll in college. First person to own a business. So
you're breaking generational
and I'm the
molds,
first
right?
legislator. I'm the first person that ran for, any kind of political thing. So there's always a glass ceiling you can break, and it's different for every person. But just don't get discouraged. I mean, I just look at that and I'm like, how did I get here? It's so different. But
how much do you measure, risk? Like financially, when you were going out on your own in your business or running for office, did you think much about the risk of what could happen to you financially? And
so I didn't really.
Or did you just say, I've got something to do and I'm going to do it?
Well, yeah. So when I originally ran for office, I have a campaign manager. I didn't even know I needed one.
Right.
She found me. She came talking to me, and I was like, what do you mean? I just posted on Facebook and I'll win. I really thought that. And, thank goodness for her that she helped me, because there are so many things in the background that work. I had no idea someone would spend $120,000 against me.
Right.
I had no idea that there would be.
You were that important?
I didn't think that there would be opposition. And when you run for office and you throw your name out there, you become very vulnerable. You realize that not everybody likes you like you thought they did. And fortunately for me, in my situation, much like yours, you've been in the community for a long time. People know who you are. They have had face-to-face conversations with you. I've sold insurance in this town for almost 20 years. So I have sat across the table with most of the people that are in this town at some point. And my husband coaching wrestling for 30 years, a lot of these people that are now adults were, coached by him, and their parents were part of the program. So
y'all had credibility and trust in the community already.
Yeah. Because we were already there. But I know that I ruffled some tail feathers, because I came out of nowhere, because I've never been involved in politics. So they're like, whoa, who is she? Let's say a bunch of bad things about her.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of her. But that was very humbling. It was very, very humbling. And I wanted to quit a lot of times. I was just like, if they hate me this much, why am I even doing this? And it doesn't get any better.
That's the hard part. You only hear from the bad.
Right.
The people that like what you're doing, they don't call you and tell you.
No, I just get the emails.
Nobody gives you the pat on the back.
I will say this, that since I've been in there, I have gotten a lot of calls. Not apologies, but affirmations like, hey, I just want to let you know.
That's good.
I think you're doing a good job. I wasn't so sure, but I think you're doing a great job. And I mean, it's people that were against me in the beginning. So
you won their vote.
Somehow they watched how I voted, and they figured out that I'm a normal person and that I just want to do right by the people.
Yeah.
Truly. And it sounds so cheesy, but that's truly what it is.
I think people have the idea that these politicians, and I'm learning, they're not a secret room that they take you in and baptize you, right?
No.
In the back, behind the scenes.
Person.
Right.
Just a regular person.
And like you said, everyone there is an alpha, top of their class type person, right?
Not me.
Everyone's kind of fighting ego it's not like we don't go there and we're on the same team to,
Right.
do harm against everyone else, right?
Right. And it's not.
You don't get a big bag of cash when you get there?
No.
That doesn't happen?
Have you seen my campaign account?
Yeah.
It's not very big.
Well, as a dad of a daughter, I look at my daughter and I think, what's the balance? I want her to have 5 kids. Stay at home, cooking pies and taking care of the family, and hopefully they have a farm and stuff. But I also want her to have a successful career.
Yeah.
And to stand on her own, financially and in business or whatever she decides to do. But where's the balance of, and do I want her to wait till she's in her, mid-30s to start having kids?
I'd say get your education, have your babies, get them in school, and then begin your career. You'll be 7, 8 years behind someone that went straight in, but you're still going to get there. You're just going to get there with your kids being able to say that their mom was there with them. I think that's one thing that I really cherish, is that I was able to stay home with my kids until they were 5. And it's not for everyone. I mean, staying home, being a stay-at-home mom is freaking hard.
Especially when you're ambitious and you're
It's easy to get up, get dressed, drop the kids off, and go to work. For me, it was so much easier for me once I got older, that I could just go to work. I don't have to worry about it. They're terrorizing my house when I'm at home all day, every day, and I'm constantly cleaning and doing all the things. But for me personally, staying home was harder than getting up and going to work, because you get to leave it all.
Right.
But
you have your purpose. Like, that's your place. Your own little thing is work. You're not, as a
a
stay-at-home mom or as a mom, you're like,
you don't have to worry about Rugrats burning the house down or fighting.
You're constantly serving someone else at home, and you don't have your own kind of thing.
Yeah, and they're Rugrats. They're climbing they're climbing on the curtains, and they're just doing anything that they're not supposed to do. And it's just like, you can't even hardly take a bath.
Yeah.
Like, I remember.
Yeah, you can't go to the bathroom without fingers and eyeballs under your door.
Yeah, if it's not now it's the dogs. They're like,
you're right.
Under the door.
Miss them days now, huh?
But yeah, I do miss that. I do miss it. That's
When
why
it's gone, you miss the dirty diapers and the.
That's why I say, looking back, I would say definitely the best times were focusing with my kids.
Enjoy those 1 to 5 years, those toddler years.
As long as you can.
Yeah.
As long as you want to, and as long as you can. I mean, because it's not for everyone.
Well, what would you say someone, if they were thinking into going to public service, local or state, whatever level, how do you balance, when you hear something bad? You ran for office, your husband's seeing everything happen behind you. How did y'all balance, were there times somebody said something negative about you, Ricky wanted to go fight them? How do you balance that whole thing and not get emotional between the two, and y'all don't fight with each other? And how do you balance that work and life and public office?
Ricky and I do not fight. We had one fight in our entire relationship. We had one fight, and he'll tell you the story too. And it was a misunderstanding about a phone call. And I said I dialed the number, but I actually received a call and dialed, and it was early on, and there was jealousy. We're just starting out, and we got into a little heated debate, and I stepped forward to him, and he stepped forward to me, and then I headbutted him.
Got too close.
And he was like, "Heck yeah, I like this." And we've never had a fight since. Like, literally, we agreed on when the kids, if I didn't like, he was a disciplinarian. I didn't have to discipline. I just made the rules, and they had to follow them, or they dealt with Ricky, and it worked. But if there was something that he did that I didn't like, if he yelled at the kid and I didn't think it was fair or whatever, we waited until we went to bed. Even if he was wrong, I never stopped him in the moment, because you can go back and correct it. But we would talk in private, and I'd say, I don't think he did this and he deserved this, and maybe I was wrong, or maybe Ricky was wrong. But anyway, we would work it out that night, and then if it needed to be corrected the next day or that night even, we would get up and correct it, But we were always a united alliance together. We put both of our checkbooks, we share accounts, like, everything is completely together. And it's been that way from the very beginning, and we know when we're short on funds, and we just, there were literally times in our relationship early when the kids were little. We got married in June. This is a true story. We got married in June, and we went to Walmart and got gold bands. I think his was $60 and mine was $40. We got gold bands at Walmart, and school starts in September. And so we didn't have any money. So we took our wedding rings back and we bought school supplies with the wedding rings.
Had to pawn the wedding rings or something to
Took them back to Walmart because you have 90 days to return.
Yeah.
90 days to return jewelry. And the boys all knew that. So and they were with us. So we went through and we got their school supplies, and we got to where we had $12 in our account, and we bought this is a really true story. We bought a box of honeycombs, a gallon of milk, a package of bologna, and a loaf of bread.
Man.
And we had to make that last for 4 days. Like, we had bologna sandwiches and cereal.
So y'all have seen the bottom, huh?
We've seen the bottom. We've seen, like, negatives. We've seen negatives.
Not afraid to eat a bologna sandwich, huh?
No, and we were just so frugal, and we still are. I mean, we buy used cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I can afford to go buy a brand new car if I want to, but we just choose to buy used cars. I mean, we did build a house in 2017, and we were very frugal about that. We lived in a trailer house. It was splitting apart. So the trailer house was literally coming apart. You could see daylight out of my bedroom. And
It's time for something. Yeah.
we lived in that 2005 trailer house with all those boys, and the boys they loved it. Like, they look back and they're like, "You guys gave us the best life ever." Like, they're so grateful. But yeah, we had some hard times.
Modest and humble and
Yeah.
means, huh?
Yeah. Nothing was handed to me. I've never borrowed any money from my parents. We've done everything on our own, and we've hurt before. Like, we were close to losing everything a couple of times.
Yeah, that's good. Well, do you have as far as books you read or shows you watch or podcasts or anything? I know you, as a representative, you're always busy.
I don't have a lot of
Do
time.
you have anything that you go to?
So I have, we call it Smut TV, and this is the Smut TV that we watch, and it is Sister Wives.
So something you can just forget about.
You turn the brain
Once
off.
the jump, yeah.
Me and Ricky both like it. I know it sounds so funny that he would like that show, but we actually started watching it about 2 years ago. We binge watched it, and now it's a new season.
That's your way
I don't
to
know why.
disconnect from.
Yes, that is what we do. It's once a week. We watch our Smut TV, and we'll watch Cops sometimes too. That's kind of fun. But we don't really we literally don't turn our TV on most days. Like, just Sunday night when that comes on, we usually watch it Monday night because we don't pay for the service to buy it to get it. We're very cheap. Right. Like, we didn't have internet at our house for years, and the boys hated it. But I mean, I can tell you stories about when they went over on their data, and like we had our phones turned off, and it's just like we laugh about it now, and our kids are so grateful, and they look back and they're like, "Dang, you guys had it hard." Like, 7 kids. My grocery bill back then when they were all at home was like $1,700 a month.
It'd be double that now.
It'd be double
COVID.
Yeah, it'd be double that now. And I'm talking, that's my Walmart bill. That's my toilet paper, toothpaste, shampoo.
Yeah, you had a lot of mouths to feed, a lot of butts to wipe, and
it was crazy. So I did without a lie. I dyed my own hair. I cut my own hair. I mean, we made it work. I buy my clothes at Goodwill. I still do that. In fact, I have a jacket at the dry cleaners here in Duncan. When I was up in the city the other day, I walked in the Goodwill, and I bought a pea coat.
You can find some good stuff there.
It was $15.49.
Yeah. Some people, there'll be starched jeans still in there.
Yeah.
People clean out the closet and put good stuff in there.
We have plenty of money where I don't have to buy my clothes at Goodwill, but I enjoy it.
But you come from a modest, meager background, and
we came
that
from
stays
poor.
with you.
We came from poor.
Yeah. That stays with you, right?
Yeah. We had blue carpet, Cody.
Right.
Blue carpet.
Blue carpet.
Yeah, until 2017. Blue carpet. So that's how frugal we are.
So y'all spoiled yourself a little bit building a new house. And
yes, we waited till all the kids were gone. Well, we had 3 still at home.
you could finally enjoy the fruits of your hard work. And,
and we debated on, do we want to just remodel the paid-for mobile home, or do we want to build something? And we decided to go ahead and build. And we built a 1,749 square foot house. And we had the 3 boys at home still. The bottom floor is 1,200 square feet, and that's still more than we use. It's just me and Ricky and 2 poodles in the house.
I saw the grandbabies come over.
Yeah, and then they come over, and it's packed. But I mean, we just try to be modest and frugal, and And I like to be that way with the taxpayer dollars too.
Sure.
That's my plug.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty cheap, so
That's good.
I don't like to give money away.
Yeah, be a good steward of the people's money.
I try. Yeah.
Well, what do you guys do for fun?
Besides watch Sister Wives,
Y'all have animals and stuff?
so we
didn't
have-
talk about that.
yeah, we do spend, well, Ricky spends a lot of time outside. What he does for fun is he grades the driveway.
Yeah.
Our driveway is a half mile long, and so he'll get on the tractor and grade the driveway. He calls it work, but
It's
it's
tractor
fun.
therapy for a
Yeah,
man.
it is. It is. And my husband, I asked him that last night when you were telling me I was going to do this, and I was like, what are my hobbies? And he says, work.
Work.
You like to work? And I was like, that's really boring, but I do. I work a lot. When I'm at home, it's either political work or work. I have my laptop out. I'm either reading something. I'm learning about new laws that passed in other states, what that looks like for Oklahoma, because as you know, whatever happens in another state is likely to be proposed in our state. And we're the leader on some of the most conservative legislation. So other states look to us. I went to an ALEC conference, and they're pretty conservative, really good tax policy and stuff like that. They're like, we're the gold standard from some of the legislation that we passed, the no income tax, the path to zero and things like that. Our 2A bills, we have some fantastic 2A bills, which I signed on to everyone that came out. I mean,
Yeah.
if I can't carry the bill myself, I'm going to co-author, and I'm
I think
going to
we're
sign.
one of the most pro 2A
Yeah,
states
we are.
right?
Yeah, and it's almost like we're going to run out of things because we're doing them all. So, but there is some legislation that's coming.
So your hobbies are studying
Work.
legislation and
Yes, it's so boring. It's so like, why?
well, don't you have
I have grandkids.
Thelma and Louise or something?
Yeah,
what's the donkey?
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde are fun. So as soon as I walk outside, they're making all the noise. I'll have to video it and post it on Facebook, but they're fun. And then I have 2 goats, Harley and Nellie, and I did have 4. We lost 2. Goats get sick sometimes, and it just happens. But so we have Harley and Nellie, and then I have 2 outside dogs, a Great Pyrenees and a Kangal Shepherd. And they're big babies. But the Kangal Shepherd, I mean, his back's probably this high. He's like a small horse. Yeah, he's just a little smaller than the donkeys. My donkeys are miniatures, and then I have a cat, and then I have 2 little poodles that are about this big. And
Plenty of animals, huh?
yeah. I want more. I really want to maybe get some llamas, or I've always wanted peacocks,
Oh,
but Ricky doesn't like peacocks. He says they're
I was
noisy.
gonna say
But I really want, get the big strutting around. And
it's like the Adams Funny Farm out there.
yeah, I wanted all the animals for my grandkids.
Yeah.
So I would say if I had to pick a hobby, I would say it's my grandkids. But I don't get to see them as much because I work all the time, because that's my first hobby.
Right.
But my second one would
But
be.
y'all are you're always going to wrestling matches or something this time of year.
I'm not.
Right.
I'm retired from that. So
Ricky's still doing it.
I do go when Briley is wrestling. She's 8, and River. So I went to the wrestling tournament here at Ring of Fire. If they're too far out of town, I just can't make everything. I try. But I went to Cash, and I watched her wrestle there and win, and then I watched her at Ring of Fire. So I try to catch what I can.
Good. Well, what's y'all's favorite restaurant? You better say something in your district.
I was gonna say Eduardo's, because I mean, not Don Jose is not Eduardo's. Don Jose is Eduardo's. Where is Eduardo's? Is it in the middle of town?
Yep.
Are they still open?
Good question. Hadn't been
I
there in a long
haven't been
time.
there in, oh gosh, it's probably been 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don Jose's.
Can't go wrong with some good
Jose's.
Mexican food.
Yeah. We like El Placio too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always a go-to.
We always get the #1 special, and we usually don't go in to eat there.
To go or
Yeah, we usually get it to go. Ricky will pick it up because it's the chili relleno, and he likes their chili relleno really well. But I had not even ever eaten at Don Jose's. Gosh,
yeah.
my brain's not working. I hadn't eaten there in a long time, but then when Tony was getting involved in my race and everything, we started eating there. And I was just like, why haven't we eaten here? I think it's because where it's located.
Y'all are on the south side. Yeah.
We're
it's
on the south
north
side.
Yeah.
And so we started eating there a lot, and it is good food.
It's really good.
Yeah, their street tacos are great.
Stays busy.
It is. It's always busy.
Tony has a great
weekly.
business.
Yeah.
Good customer service and stuff. And
Yeah. And honestly, if it wasn't for him, getting involved in my race, I probably would have just not thought about it because I don't come north that
far
much.
north.
Yeah. So it would be El Placio, but now it's Don Jose. So.
Well, in closing, anything else you want to add? Anything like that we missed or anything that we didn't talk about?
I think we hit everything, probably too much.
Well, how can people reach you as far as campaign and your business and stuff?
Oh, okay. So everything is on my Facebook page, but I think it's Stacy for State Representative on Facebook. That's where you'll catch me the most. And then, of course, my personal Facebook page, Stacy Joe Adams. My phone number's on there, my email's on there, my website's on there. Everything's on Facebook.
And then the Adams Insurance Agency?
Yep. And right now we're at 1309 West Ash, but probably by March we're going to be on Beach.
That's your new office?
New office, yeah. We just got the floors done. They look so good. But we've got to get the toilets in and the sinks in and then some cabinetry in, and then we should be ready to move in. We've done all new electric, new roof. Talk about spending a lot of money. Yeah, my savings is gone.
Yeah.
Like, it's gone. Like, we're down to like a little bit now, but we did it all cash, so we're trying to do it
pay for it as you go.
As we go. So it's been a slow process. It's been over a year, but the floors were $14,000.
Yeah.
The electric was $18,000.
We didn't touch a lot on construction prices and materials these days.
Yeah, that's part of the reason insurance rates are so high, because everything costs so much. But But, so
Adams Insurance Agency.
Yep.
And then Stacy Joe Adams for State House on Facebook. You can find it somewhere.
Yeah. If you search Stacy Joe Adams, and you'll find
people
me.
can find you and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it's been good.
It's been a great conversation.
I talked way more than I thought I would.
No, it went great. I appreciate it. Well, y'all go check out Stacy Joe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.